My name is Ralph Rebant, and I'm running for the governor of Michigan. I'm a pastor, but I'm running on bringing God back into culture because I'm convinced that if we don't get God right in this next election, nothing will matter.
Bringing God back to Michigan, what would that look like? Would there be religion taught in schools?
There would be, as our founder said, the Bible should be the basic textbook in Scripture, in schools.
Are there books that you don't want to see in schools?
I would remove the pornography.
So we need to ban books that have pornographic imagery in them, right?
Yes.
Because somebody was telling us about a book that had like two daughters getting their dad drunk and having sex with them.
Yeah, I knew you were going that way. I knew you were doing that. Yeah, it's a good point.
So you're saying ban the Bible in school?
Jason Selvig of The Good Liars interviewed a candidate for governor of Michigan, a pastor who wants to ban books featuring pornographic imagery, but not the Bible.
No, I'm not saying ban the Bible in school. I get where you're going with your questions.
Right, you're saying anything that has a pornographic image should be banned, and that there are some images in the Bible about, sex and incest and things like that. So it sounds like you're saying we should ban the Bible.
What I am saying is that the Judeo-Christian principles on which our country is founded need to be brought back into culture. And I can't state it any more clearly than that.
If that means banning the Bible, so be it.
The Bible would not be banned from culture or...
From the schools. I'm just saying the schools. Protect the kids.
I'm Yasmin Khan with Rebel HQ, and in Selvig's interview with Ralph Rebant, Rebant said that he's running on bringing God back into culture. He wants to bring the Bible and Scripture into schools, and he wants pornography out of schools. Back when I was in school, we didn't have pornography, but I guess things are different these days. So according to the right, CRT, which by the way is not being taught in public schools, is liberal indoctrination that needs to be stamped out entirely. But the Bible being taught in public secular schools is not indoctrination. I saw someone in a comments section ask once, well, if CRT isn't a real thing, then why are the libs so mad whenever it gets banned? Because it's not real. Because it's a smokescreen, because these are elected officials who are spending their time and our money fighting some imaginary boogeyman instead of actually addressing real problems that our society is facing. And whenever you have a fake problem, you need to offer a fake solution, and in this case, the fake solution is more Bible.
What we've seen is obviously a systematic attempt by these publishers to infiltrate our children's education by embedding topics such as critical race theory, things that have nothing to do with math. So Governor DeSantis obviously embarked on this journey to make sure our kids could be prepared for success. He wanted to focus on reading, writing, math, civics, to make sure that they're not only prepared for student success, but also to be good citizens. It is something that we have to fight for. We have to make sure that our kids are free from indoctrination, that we're not embedding this ideology. And that's why Governor DeSantis has been so clear. He's going to fight for kids, whether it's on the CRT stuff that they're trying to put in our books, or also on the Disney issue. When you see what we've tried to do, parents' rights in education, allowing parents to be the ultimate decision makers. And that's why here in the free state of Florida, we're always going to fight for parents' rights. We're always going to fight for our children.
Speaking of CRT, the state of Florida recently blocked a whole slate of math books from being taught in the schools because they didn't meet Florida's very high academic standards for excellence. After alleging instances of inappropriate content in the math books, officials were unable to back up those allegations. You would have thought that they would have come up with those justifications before making the allegations, but they did not. DeSantis, he did give a press conference in which he discussed the books in question, but he didn't give a whole lot of information as to why they were banned specifically. He said that, in math there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer, and they don't want their students in Florida getting the wrong answers. Naturally, also, there are no feelings in math. When asked for more details on why 54 math books were being blocked from being taught in Florida schools, the governor's team took several days to provide an example of a math problem that they had an issue with. However, the math problem they did eventually provide didn't even come from one of those books. It came from a school in Missouri, and the problematic problem specifically came from an online bank of math problems that teachers can pull from. The inclusion of this particular problem on the assignment was apparently an oversight that was dealt with promptly by the school district. The problem didn't even really have anything to do with race. It was more about poverty, if anything. So between DeSantis's very admirable crusade against poverty and Reband's very honorable push to bring God and the Bible back into schools while somehow simultaneously eradicating pornography from the same schools, the Republican Party is leaning hard into those family values that it's become known for. That is, they're known for talking about family values without actually exemplifying them. They've also never really defined what those family values are because, as the term would imply, those values tend to vary from family to family. The dream of the 50s-style nuclear family where Don Drapers keep their mistresses in the city and their wives at home with the kid in the suburbs is alive in the GOP. And that dream now includes abolishing the Department of Education altogether. According to Madison Cawthorn, who by the way was homeschooled and dropped out after one very poor semester in college, says that education shouldn't be dictated by bureaucrats. It should come directly from parents. I don't think I need to unpack that any further as far as how ridiculous it is. I think that's kind of obvious. Yes, there are 1,000,001 things wrong with the public education system here in the US, for instance, its overall lack of funding or its over-reliance on standardized test results. There's a lot of things that can and should be fixed. But instead of actually fixing those problems, we have one party that's doing very little to solve real problems, and the other doing the most to solve fake problems while managing to both demonize and promote the indoctrination of children simultaneously. It's actually a little impressive.